All right, I think we're almost good. We're almost there. Hold on. Let's make sure we're good to go. Wow, okay. I think we did it. We are live, baby. That's exciting. It really is. So, a lot of you have been asking for a bit of a go through on Dark Cloud. And it's something that I've held back on for the past 6 years just because I wanted to make sure the time was right. It just made the most sense. So, without further ado, my name is Hiddencastle, and I'll be your guide. And welcome to our first volume of Castle Plays Dark Cloud Enhanced. Now, Dark Cloud Enhanced was a mod program that was created by the community for the very purpose of being the best definitive way of going through Dark Cloud in the year of 2029. What year are we? Who knows? We future-proofed it and we're good to go. Let's make sure sound is good, though. Hold on. Best definitive going through Dark Cloud in the... I don't know who that is, but he sounds like a nerd. Let's get down and dirty and super nerdy with Dark Cloud, starting right now. So the goal for this is hopefully getting people to watch after the streams, right? It's a nice little 2-for-1. You get the live stream itself, and then the broadcast could stay later on for whoever wants to read it. But speaking of reading, we have a certain old book that was found in some old ruins. All the scholars who decoded it puzzled over the mysteries of this book. A world illuminated by 2 moons. The many dazzling adventures of a young boy. But whether or not this story is true, do you believe in the story that's woven in this book? Now, I like how they pose a question to the viewer, the player. What do you think? And they leave it up to interpretation. Now, during a press release, it was quite interesting because this cutscene over here was actually rendered in 3D rather than being a 2D picture that we're seeing now. They had the book and everything else all in 3D. I'm not sure why they changed it, but a bit of food for thought. And maybe it's a fantasy that existed in a boy's heart. Let me tell you the story the ancient book tells of. A magical and magnificent fairy tale. And the hero of this wondrous tale, whose name is, and we could have a lot of fun with this, his name could be anything. His name could be the most, plausible name, really. The only one we could give him. That sounds about right. Yes. Because what else, right? It's a Zelda killer, Dark Cloud, clearly. Gotta have a sip of the coffee for the working man. Now, the Dark Shrine. The whole idea behind this was to begin this adventure with a bit of juxtaposition, right? The very beginning of the adventure, you'd have both a festival of blood and darkness on one side of the world, and the other side is a celebration of life and renewal and nature, just showing you the differences between the two. Let's see how we're sounding so far. Hold on. Let's give it a sound check. Of blood and darkness on one side. Let's see if we can turn up the volume itself of the game. I was afraid that maybe the game might be a little too loud. Desktop audio. Let's see if that makes any difference. Okay. Wonder why. There we go, that's better. See how that is now. Hold on. There we go. We're still working out the kinks, baby, right? And I'm kind of surprised, to be honest, that we actually got down doing this, just because I've never been much of a fan of streaming and doing things like this, but I think it's another way of interacting with the community and interacting with the audience, and that's the most lovely thing about being a video creator. And I hate that name, I hate that term, but being a creative person, the closer you could be with the audience that enjoys the work and the material, the better, right? This dance, man, they're wilding out. So how much money did you think I put into acquiring this urn? That's a very good question. How much would that urn go for? On Facebook Marketplace, in some trap house, they're selling it. My bets, 350. So what do you intend to do with this power? You'll see. I love how they're building him to be this amazing and very strong and powerful antagonist, when in reality he's nothing but a throwaway villain, right? Nothing more than a throwaway villain. But yet he's everywhere. He's all over the promotional material, right? He's all over the trading cards, all over the press write-ups, the whole 9 yards. And here he is, the big boy himself. He's been eating. Now for the new viewers, there's a bit of a twist when it comes down to this, but this version of the Dark Genie is just one of my favorites, the way he looks. Very big and rotund. I love it. So we have Joe here and Dominic. So good to see you two. Two of the best. I appreciate the kind words, Joe. Being able to create the content for the audience is just one of the most amazing things in the world. And, you know, these video games are niche, right? But I think the more we're able to engage with each other, whether it's through these digital campfires or, you know, live and in person, it just makes the world feel like a less small place, right? It's an amazing feeling. Is technology magic? Maybe. Maybe. Dominic just started a new game yesterday. Well, you know what? Maybe we could kind of go through it together, right? It's, oh, this guy has terrible, terrible luck, right? So in the game's files, he's labeled as a priest. He doesn't have any names. The file structure goes the letter C, and then 0, and then the character's name. So C0 Seda, C0 Dark Genie. He would be C0 Priest. So it makes you wonder if there was really anything more regarding this interesting, rotund looking snack of a man that just got devoured. Because there was more to that cutscene. The priestess, who is the lead dancer, she has textures of her speaking, of her mouth movements that were never used. Right off the bat, so you have a very purple and dark and cold celebration, and the juxtaposition of this feeling of warmth, vibrant greens and earth tones, and of food and laughter and dance, right? Zelda, come on, it's time to go. It's not even Zelda, it's supposed to be Link. Yeah, we know. My favorite Zelda game was the one on CDI, you know the one. That was the best one. Breath of the Wild, pretty good, but I just want to get some Octoroks, man. And with that, puts a hat on, and squat-a-la, we're off. Now you get everything you need for the introduction. He's a young man who loves to drink soup. That's what heroes are all about. We have Xenon, Brand Sifter. We have Audivox. That's a hell of a name right there, right? First time getting alive. He's on Dark Cloud 2 on Chapter 6. You know what? I would like to go through Dark Cloud 2 as well. And maybe some other weird, obscure Japanese games that never got a release over here. Kind of going through that. There's a lot of really interesting things out there. We have Dominic. My theory is Lara's husband. He very well could be. He was away on business after all, right? What kind of business? Ernie business. Dirty business. The kind of business that gets you swallowed. Now this is really interesting because the PS2 was like leaps and bounds ahead of all other technology, and Dark Cloud was one of those games that really helped demonstrate the power of the PS2. So you could see here motion blur at play when the Dark Genie's kind of dancing around. There we go. Look at that motion blur. God damn. I'm a bit of a PS2 nerd when it comes to the emotion engine and just how that piece of technology was used and pushed. It really helped define a generation of games, from Shadow of the Colossus to Okami to Ico to Dark Cloud to, you know, Resident Evil 4. A lot of these games nowadays are seen as like the benchmark and standard of their genres, whether it be exploration or horror or what have you, right? Perfected on the PS2. Now in a press write-up, by Level 5, they mentioned that everybody that was put into the Atla, they perished. They were no longer living. So just some food for thought. You know, everybody got massacred that day except for a small few. Like with Ungaga was a bit of a, you know, the Dark Genie had a sick sense of humor. He left the one defender of the village alive to kind of look at what would happen when they failed their job of defending everybody. Absolutely beautiful. This is one of my favorite scenes in the game, just the way that water drops, right? Hi there. Can you hear me? Open your eyes. Wake up. Hey! Ahem. I'm the Fairy King, the entity of the fairies. Listen well, young one. Something bad has happened. Oh, you don't say. Doesn't look good, I'll tell you what. Men blinded by greed have revived the Dark Genie. This genie, the Dark Genie, is terribly powerful. A power so great it could destroy the entire world. Now that's a good question. Did it destroy the entire world? Right? How far is the damage right now? A bit of food for thought, right? Your own village being destroyed before your very eyes, and not just this village, but in a flash, many others were destroyed. You know, Ray says, luckily no one else suffered thanks to the Fairy King. Well, let's just say the Fairy King's hands aren't entirely clean of this situation, right? Dark Cloud is a redemption story between Seda and the Spirit King. But more on that later on. Maybe in October, as our Halloween special. We have Buscemi coming in. The stream is lagging a bit. I wonder why. Maybe it'll pick up later on. You know, we need to get more hamsters on wheels for the internet to speed it along, like they did in the 30s. It must have been those men from the East. They performed that celebration, probably thinking to use its black demon power without realizing how frightening it is. Yeah, we go crazy down in the East. It's darkness, pure darkness itself, long ago. Its malevolence is that greed. The bad thing is that it's the same type of magical power that is us, spirits. Unfortunately, we aren't powerful enough to destroy it. Now, how my camera's positioned, it's positioned right in the way of the speech bubbles, so I gotta use my imagination, so you might get Castle's director's cut when reading these dialogues, right? Young man, I could see that you have a strong will that could withstand the evil power. Also a clear heart. You might be able to fight against the evil it generates. I've decided to take our fate on you and trust you with this power. Look at his face. I love that reaction. Fucking hell. We got LBP Gal 212, right? 212, but the top of the list of my heart. I'll tell you what, it's so good to have you here. There, surprised? We call that the Atlamelia. It's a stone with a magical power. Oh, don't look that way, boy. I'll explain when we get to that. Okay, let's see what's going to happen. And that's it. It's no simple.